We're on the same
When I
side.
woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Nothing about the past, nothing about the future.
Welcome back to Draft Fights, everybody. I'm Walter, and it is here. We are talking about not the fantasy football, the NFL draft, right? Dear God, Walter, where are you going? Yes, it's another Magic Mock Draft, Midnight Mock Draft. All right, we are doing a mock draft tonight. Why? Well, it's Monday, that's why. But not only just because it's Monday, goddamn, there was some news. The 49ers and the Miami Dolphins just decided to shake everything up. That's true, yes, the 49ers, they decided, hey, you know what? We're drafting at 12. We're not that fond of Jimmy G, so let's move on up. And maybe we can go ahead and get ourselves a quarterback at number 3 overall. So who do they call? They call up the Miami Dolphins and go, hey, Miami, y'all want a first-round pick next year and a first-round pick in 2023. We'll give you both those first-round picks. We'll give you a third-round pick this year. We'll go ahead and we'll give you them, couple it with our first-round pick, number 12 overall, and we get up to number 3. And then you guys drop down to 12. And Miami's like, you know what? We're not drafting a quarterback, and there's probably going to be players down at 12. And then Miami sat there and thought, wait a second. What if we could do this better? What if we don't even have to move that far? You know, there's a team that we know was calling us because they were wondering if they can get the Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's not coming to number 3. He's going to go to 2, maybe to the Jets, it sounds like. So Miami goes ahead. They call up the Eagles. They go, yo, Eagles, I hear you guys were in the market for a quarterback, but your quarterback ain't available. How about this? We're going to trade back with the 49ers, right? They're going to give us a bunch of picks to come up to 3. What if we gave you an extra first-rounder next year, and we get to get back up to 6? Now we don't feel like the real crunch of the trade. We only drop back 3 spots. Now you get to go back to 12. You get an extra first-round pick because you guys, you're in a weird rebuild mode, Eagles. So we're going to go ahead. You can go ahead and, bounce back to 12. You'll probably get an opportunity at a really, really good player. And we'll get an opportunity of having our number 1 pick that we want because we're in a better position than you. Let's be real. We feel better about ourselves. So now Miami's at 6, the Eagles are at 12, the 49ers are at 3. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a glance before we jump into the mock draft, right? We're going to be in the mock draft in 2 minutes, everybody. I got to make sure I get through these quicker. 1 round tonight, and maybe we'll come back tomorrow, do a second round, and maybe we'll see some more further into the week. So, yes, first off, some of the rumored quarterbacks, who did they move up for? Did they move up for Mac Jones? Did they move up for Mr. Trey Lance? Or maybe Ohio State's Justin Fields? And there's so many different connections, right? Chris Sims and Dan Orlovsky first to tweet out, yo, Mac Jones is definitely the pick at 3, which kind of blew everybody's minds because I don't think a lot of people had Mac Jones as the number 3 overall quarterback, although Chris Sims did. That was his rankings a couple weeks ago, blew everybody's minds. He's saying he's the most pro-ready. I don't know what that necessarily means. He's played 17 games in the offense he's in. Yeah, probably a little bit more pro-style, but also all of his receivers get wide open. It's great. He was throwing to Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, a bunch of dudes. So I don't know, man. I'm thinking Mac Jones is an opportunity, is an option. It's an option, right? Those 2 guys, though, Chris Sims, very good friends with Mr. Shanahan, but Shanahan knows a couple of the other quarterbacks here, right? He knows Justin Fields. Justin Fields goes to the quarterback collective. Oh, that sounds sexy. What is it? It's like a nice little group meeting. It's a training center, folks. And Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's father, runs it. About 6 different offensive coordinators who all run the Shanahan tree are all part of this QB collective. So you would think Justin Fields maybe has a little bit more insight into maybe the Shanahan-style offense than maybe Trey Lance or Mac Jones would. But we don't know. We've heard different areas. I don't think Mac Jones is more pro-ready than Justin Fields, but listen, Chris Sims and Kyle Shanahan apparently have matching tattoos of each other's initials. That's kind of weird, kind of cool. So I as of right now, I'm not buying the whole Mac Jones at 3 thing. It does seem to be there's a lot of rumblings. Guys like Dane Brugler and Lance Zierlein are saying it, they're hearing rumblings about it. Again, Chris Sims does have familiarity with Shanahan. They went to college together. They're good friends. I'm not buying it right now. Maybe in a couple of weeks I will. There is some news. Shanahan is going to Mac Jones's pro day. Shanahan has not gone to a pro day in a while. He doesn't go to a lot of pro days, so it is interesting that he's going to the Alabama pro day. As to, like, is he going to do it? Is he going to take Mac Jones? Did you trade 2 years worth of first-round picks and a third-round pick this year to get Mac Jones? Really? That blows my mind. It's like, now listen, if you thought Tua came out last year and was fine, there's some evidence that, like, okay, like Mac Jones maybe even was playing better than Tua was. On the other end, again, he's playing for Alabama. He's got all the pass protection in the world. He's got all the receivers in the world. So I'm going to try and jump into this mock draft and do it the best I can, folks. We will jump into who I think will be taken at some of these spots. Let's get into it. And let's go to the mock draft in the middle with you. All right, here we are with the mock. We are at Pro Football Network. Pro Football Network, everybody. I'll do a different one. Maybe next week I'll do PFF. Maybe I'll do the TDN later on this week. Who knows? But today we're going with Pro Football Network. They allow you to make little trades because obviously any mock draft without a trade in it is just unrealistic at this point. So, number 1 overall, we're going Trey Lance. Not Trey Lance. That would be dumb. Number 1 overall, we're going Trevor Lawrence, QB of Clemson, right? This is a solid pick. I think Urban Meyer almost copped to this on I think it was Monday Morning Quarterback, something with Peter King. He was on that show, and he kind of admitted, like, yeah, we're kind of trending towards Trevor Lawrence, and unless something massive happens, we will go with Trevor Lawrence. So there we go. Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. All right, so I'm going to try a little bit of this mock to the left. Everything you know in the mock to the left. In the closet by myself. That's right. I got to make sure I don't get into trouble for some copyright infringement, right? So, yes, I was now we're at number 2 with the Jets. Will they take Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts? No, it sounds like the rumor is Zach Wilson, right? 49ers offered all these picks. They called a lot of places. The rumor is they didn't call the Jets. I don't buy that they didn't have an inkling of what the Jets were doing, right? Like, if the 49ers are making calls to the Bengals, the Falcons, and the Miami Dolphins, they clearly know either the Jets are going in a certain direction and they didn't think it was worth calling, or, I mean, that's pretty much it. They probably thought, okay, we know what the Jets are doing. They're probably going Zach Wilson. But we think there's at least one other quarterback in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson who we like for our system, for what we are gonna do. So, talk about the Jets a little bit. Zach Wilson sounds like he's gonna be the pick. The whole contingent was at Zach Wilson's pro day. Makes sense. Joe Douglas, Mike LaFleur, Robert Saleh. So I get the argument that they are definitely gonna go this route. I do. They still have Sam Darnold on the roster. Everybody wants to know, what are they going to do with Sam Darnold? Why haven't they traded Sam Darnold yet? Have they not gotten any value for Sam Darnold? I think, first off, I think there is a possibility where they keep Sam Darnold. Some of the rumors that I've seen, Connor Hughes, the guy who actually covers the Jets, he's saying that if that happened, it would be it would probably cause a little bit of a freak out from Sam Darnold's camp because, again, he's not going to get to play this year. There is some kind of weird thing, though, right now. With the Jets, they haven't signed a veteran quarterback. If you're drafting a rookie, you typically want a veteran quarterback in the QB room so he can help learn the offense. And it wouldn't even have to be a great one, probably a Brian Hoyer or a Nick Mullins, but they have the money to do that. They could definitely go ahead and draft, Zach Wilson, get somebody in there who knows the offense and kind of be a mentor or at least know the offense along with him to help along in training camp. And the point of having a veteran QB who knows the system, it also helps the other players who are not your QB learn the system. It's why the Browns brought in Case Keenum last year. It's why Brian Hoyer went to San Francisco. It's why Brian Hoyer goes everywhere, because Brian Hoyer knows two of the biggest systems in the NFL, right? 2 of the 3 biggest systems right now in the NFL. He knows the option route system, Air Coral kind of style Belichickian offense that Bill O'Brien ran, and Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick runs. And then again, he also has been very much a part of the Shanahan scheme, knowing Kyle Shanahan's offense from being with the Browns and being with the 49ers. So they might pull in a guy like that. They don't even have to sign him right now, so it might just be something that they're waiting on until they can get rid of Sam Darnold, clear a little bit of cap if they trade him. That being said, we are already 10 minutes in on this, and I'm only at the second pick. So I'm going to go Zach Wilson here. There is still a possibility they keep Sam Darnold on the roster, according to, I think it was Jeremy Fowler. I'm not quite sure how that would work. I know how it would work. I have mentioned this last week, actually, on this exact show. This is why you tune in, because I predict things that somebody else is going to report, possibly. Or I don't know if I kind of thought the 49ers would trade up. They were one of the 3 teams from the mid-tier. I still think the Patriots might trade up. Patriots might trade down. Patriots might do things you don't even think will happen. So we're now at the 49ers. There's 3 quarterbacks in the board that we think could probably go at this spot. Potentially it is Justin Fields of Ohio State, Trey Lance of North Dakota State, and Mac Jones of Alabama. All have different, very good skills. I personally think it's Justin Fields, but damn, man, like if the rumor mill is like kind of sending the sparks out there, it really is sending the sparks out there. There is some real rumor that Mac Jones is going 3. And I'm not talking about like, oh, just pretty old me. Now, there's some more guys I'm waiting to hear from. If I hear a little bit more from Charles Robinson, who tends to have a few contacts in the 49ers, I would maybe pay attention to what he's saying. Albright has also kind of murmured that might be the real rumor. There's a lot of league sources think this is what's going to happen. There's a lot of Daniel Jeremiah. I still don't buy it just yet. I don't know. Because, there's still a reason to go to Mac Jones' pro day, even if you're not drafting Mac Jones. First off, you don't know what happens in a month. They could, at 3, be expecting to take Justin Fields, knowing Justin Fields. They're skipping his pro day, which is kind of a little bit of a weird thing. And maybe that's kind of the red flag there that people are going to throw up. But, I mean, they also know Justin Fields better than they know Mac Jones. Justin Fields goes to like I said before, the QB Collective, which is run by Kyle Shanahan's father. Whereas, getting to know Mac Jones, what happens if something happens in the next month where, Justin Fields, you could have a thing that, like, all of a sudden there's a thing that Justin Fields has a gas mask on and he's smoking the hookah with the bong and the bibbity bop. I don't know. Maybe Justin Fields has a popcorn problem, everybody. Maybe he just really likes popcorn and Pop Rocks. Maybe he just wants to go to the movies. Maybe he doesn't even want to play football anymore. I'm not suggesting that. I think Justin Fields wants to play football. I think he'll be a great football player. I'm just saying. I'm gonna go right now. I'm waiting on the rumors. I'm gonna go with Justin Fields here, because I just don't buy. I don't buy that they're gonna not take Justin Fields. I just don't get it. Anyway, 4 overall. What are the Falcons gonna do? There's a lot of rumor that they might still take a quarterback, right? Even though they shifted a lot of Matt Ryan's money out to 2 years into the future. If they are taking a guy like Trey Lance or, again, Justin Fields, if he falls to 4, that would totally make sense. If I'm the Falcons, I can't see them spending the next 2 years with Matt Ryan under contract and sticking with Matt Ryan and having two quarterbacks and not using what you have already on the roster, and not utilizing this pick either to trade down to, say, the Patriots at 15, the Broncos if they were looking to get up, the Panthers if they were looking to get up. Now, as of right now, it sounds like they might not move. Some of the reason why they might not move is maybe a particular player in this class who might be a whole class of his own. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts, right? I think there's 2 or 3 guys that maybe the Falcons look at, but I think Kyle Pitts fits perfectly for them. He plays tight end. They don't really have a true tight end. They have Hayden Hurst, who they traded for. But Pitts is a different kind of level of player. Pitts could play wide receiver, and he'd be great. Like, he would be a top 4 receiver in this class, just as receiver. And what he does at tight end is insane. He is literally, it's like people compared it to a couple years ago. Like, you don't usually take a guard in the top 10 with Quentin Nelson, but he went in the top 10 a couple years ago. Guys who just have a different level of ability. Is it what I would do? If I was the Falcons, I'd really be looking for a trade down right now, because that team needs a lot. It needs defense. Really, what it needs is defense. They have Julio Jones. They have Calvin Ridley. They get some production from Justin Hardy. The offensive line is but not horrible, and might do better under a new system and a new scheme and with better coaching. So I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts for right now. This is a rumor that I heard last week, and it kind of makes sense that Kyle Pitts would fit in that offense, would be a nice replacement for Julio when Julio goes away in the next 2 years or so. But they still would have a young player at a different position who would open up the field. And Calvin Ridley's great. And Calvin Ridley's at the end of Calvin Ridley's contract, he will be 27. That's a lot. You have an older receiver on a rookie contract. That's a big deal. So getting another young guy who just is an athletic freak in there is going to be really good for your team. 5 overall, Bengals. Originally everybody was mocking Penny Sewell here. Now every Bengals fan I know is just like, get him to take Jamar Chase. Get him to take Jamar Chase. I still think it's Penny Sewell for right now. I think they got to fix the offensive line. But man, the Jamar Chase thing is starting to make some sense. Not because, signing Riley Reef prevents you from doing it. I think signing Riley Reef allows you to go ahead and say, you know what, we're gonna go with a second round tackle or second round guard, and maybe that guy can kick out. And I get it. I don't think I necessarily buy that that's the best value for that pick. So I don't know, because you can get a good receiver in the second round. We've seen it. We've seen A.J. Brown. We've seen, this year there's going to be a bunch of them that are in the second round that I think will be very good. We saw it last year with the Bengals. They drafted a wide receiver. They drafted T. Higgins in the second round. They could have taken Michael Pittman. They could have taken a bunch of different guys that fell to the second round. They didn't do that. We see it every year. There's day 2 receivers that get real production. We don't always see day 2 tackles. But, you know what? I think it's Sewell, because they're not going to want to risk. If they do this, it's insane. If they go the other way, it's insane. I will do a mock draft, maybe even just later on this week. Maybe I'll do a Monday, Thursday mock draft or something. But anyway, yes, I think it'll be Penny Sewell. Let's speed this up a little bit. Miami Dolphins, they trade down to 6. I think they moved back up to 6. They traded down to 12. They moved back up to 6. They expended a first-round pick that they had gotten in the trade to move back up with the Eagles. And there's 2 ways to look at this. Was it better off for Miami to just keep the extra first-round pick next year? I think that's arguably the right call, because no matter what, who you were taking at 6 now costs you 2 first-round picks. On the other hand, you moved back 3 spots and you got a first-round pick and a third-round pick. And obviously they made this decision with the Eagles agreeing to do this trade as well, which probably made it more palatable to move back 3 spots, knowing that, hey, we're going to move back 3 spots. We'll still get a top, our pick of the litter at receiver or offensive lineman if we wanted, say, Penny Sewell, or we want Jamar Chase, or Devontae Smith, or Kyle Pitts, or we could trade back even a little bit more because we'll be at 6. And that could be the situation here. They are at 6 right now. I still have Mac Jones and Trey Lance on the board. I don't think this is where a quarterback goes. I don't think there's somebody who's going to trade up at this point because, again, maybe the Vikings. I don't think so. Maybe the Patriots, but they're not trading with Miami. And Miami still wanted to get a really good player at this spot. So I think the pick here will be Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle. Ooh, I'm going to go Jamar Chase. Here's why. Jamar Chase can be a true X receiver, can play split end. He's a bully at the catch point. The one problem I have with Jamar Chase is he does not fit what Tua Tagovailoa does very well, and I don't know why I just made that pick when I could have went with Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle, and those guys have a little bit more wiggle to them. But Jamar Chase is still open when he's not open, and that's kind of what you like about Jamar Chase. Even when he's covered, he's not covered. You're hoping Tua develops to be able to throw to NFL open receivers, not just wide open receivers. So I'm going Jamar Chase right now. I could totally see them going Jalen Waddle. The reason this time around I went with Jamar Chase. Currently, we are doing this. The Alabama second pro day is tomorrow, right? That is a big deal because Alabama's second pro day, maybe Jalen Waddle runs tomorrow. I don't know. He did have a hamstring a couple weeks ago. That's why he didn't run at the first pro day for Alabama. Alabama and Devontae Smith are Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith are very good receivers. They have not tested yet. They've had, Jalen Waddle's coming off of an injury. That might be a red flag for some teams. Devontae Smith, his weight, his size is a question mark. He's saying he's 170, but okay, tell me you're 170. That doesn't necessarily mean you are 170. So regardless, that's why I went Ja'Marr Chase. 7 overall. This is where I think we have a trade. Lions, yes, I think they would, if they were saying at this pick, they go Jalen Waddle. But I also think that the New England Patriots did sign Cam Newton for a reason. And it was they liked his athleticism, but they think he could be a quarterback for right now. You know what I should do? I'll switch to this brilliant thing. There we go. Now you can see what I'm doing here. We're doing a trade. Gonna get the Lions in here next, right? We'll go to the mock in the middle with you. Mock to the left. Big mock. Oh, God damn it. I just wanted to get you guys the full mock so you guys could see what I'm doing here. All right, so currently Patriots sit at 15. I think they could trade the second rounder and a first rounder next year to get up to 7. Actually, do they even have to do that? They might even have to trade a second rounder this year. I think they trade a third rounder this year to get up to 7 and a first. And I think the Lions do it. Let's see. Declined! All right, hang on a sec. If I'm the Patriots next, I'm trying to get the Lions to agree to a trade, I'll give them a first, a second, a first this year in addition to my first this year, a first this year, a first next year, and a second this year. And propose accepted. All right, Patriots are up. Now, I think they take Trey Lance. Why? He's got the athleticism similar to Cam Newton. He's got the arm. He's got the arm talent. He's got a big damn arm. He's run a very play-action-y system. Get him in your room. Get him to sit for a year or two behind Cam Newton. You now have a quarterback who could be your QB of the future, whose athleticism is off the charts. Like they saw this. There's a reason why they re-signed Cam Newton. They liked what they saw with having that style of quarterback. Now they got that style of quarterback in this draft. They get Trey Lance, and they don't even have to play him right away. So he gets to learn the offense, do all the option routes that they like to run, get him used to being around all the receivers, knowing the offense, and they play Cam Newton this year on a 1-year deal. I think this is the plan. They jump ahead of the Carolina Panthers. I wouldn't doubt maybe the Carolina Panthers call up the Lions and be like, yo, we'll give you a third-round pick. Just let us jump up there, and you still get a guy at 8. Carolina Panthers could take Mac Jones here. They could easily, God dang, like this is a weird thing for the Carolina Panthers because they really don't need a receiver. Rashawn Slater would be good here. They kind of get stuck with Teddy Bridgewater again. They could trade down and get assets, but again, at this stage, there's no one for them to take. I've constantly mocked. Eventually, I'm going to get mocked for this for not doing, Mac Jones in the top 10. You know what? Fine. I could see they had Mac Jones at the Pro Day, right? They had Mac Jones at not the Pro Day. They had Mac Jones at the Senior Bowl, and I think what they do is they know him. They got a lot of FaceTime with him. They got to see him try to run at least part of their offense. I think Mac Jones is a good option for the Panthers. I could see Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman out of Northwestern. Jalen Waddle would go really well with DJ Moore, and I think that would be an embarrassment of riches. I could see them trade down, but like I said, I don't see a trade down target for him. So I think it's hard to keep going forward with just Teddy Bridgewater on your roster. I think I'm going to go Mac Jones here. I was told this is the floor for Mac Jones, and early on, I believe that might be true. Denver Broncos on the board, right? All 5 QBs off the board by pick 9. I don't even think they were going to go for any of those 5 QBs. But what I will say is this. Denver Broncos, they signed all the cornerbacks. They could draft a cornerback here. Guys who might be available, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain. They had their pro days last week. Both of them blew it out of the water. Showed some very plus athleticism. J.C. Horn really looks super athletic, and he looks that way on tape too. So it's not totally out there. I think depending on how you feel about these two corners, depending on what system you run, I could totally see the Broncos. I could see the Broncos going J.C. Horn because you can play him as a big slot corner to shut down a guy like Travis Kelce initially, and then when Fuller leaves next year, you now have still an embarrassment of riches. I don't know if that's how they go. I do think they look at trading back. There's nobody to trade back with anymore because there's no more quarterbacks on the board. So now they kind of get stuck with, who do we take? They could take offensive linemen. They do have Mike Munchak, who you hope would help develop a right tackle very well. Maybe they'll take a right tackle in the second round. I could see them taking J.C. Horn because, again, I think long-term wise, they missed out on getting a guy this high. I think this is the other guy who I was thinking of is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's kind of a quasi-linebacker hybrid. I think that would be a very good spot here. I know my cousin, a Broncos fan, would love Micah Parsons here. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that there's going to be a lot of teams shying away from Micah Parsons. 10 overall, Dallas Cowboys. They just went to Dan Quinn's system. They're going Patrick Surtain. Surtain. Every time I say Surtain, I kind of think that little, I think of the South Park thing where they're going, Satan! So, yeah, it's Patrick Surtain the second. And I think this is smart. They get a guy who fits perfectly in Dan Quinn's cover 3 defense. Could be, shut down one side of the field for you. Fits perfectly in a press man scheme, cover 3 scheme. Kind of what Dan Quinn did when he was with Seattle. What I think he was hoping to do when he was with Atlanta, and that defense never really worked out. In fact, they signed I think they signed almost 3 safeties from Atlanta. I know they signed Devontae Casey, and they signed Keanu Neal. So they signed a couple of safeties from Atlanta. I think that was and I think Keanu Neal is actually playing a linebacker for them. They might have even signed another safety as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. The Giants now, and also all those safeties are on 1-year deals. So Giants are on the board. They shake everything up. They sign Kenny Golladay. They extend Leonard Williams. They sign Adoree Jackson. They sign John Ross, the speedster. So the speed star, if you will. They signed somebody today who was not an offensive lineman, which I find kind of offensive myself. Because if you've watched the Giants, the biggest problem they've had the last, since Eli Manning was there, was the offensive line. So I think they probably go Rashawn Slater here because it's the one position not only did they not address, but they got rid of their starting right guard, who was the best offensive lineman they had. I know people might be like, well, what about Matt Pert? What about Andrew Thomas? What about Nate Solder? Nate Solder's here for a 1-year deal to hopefully kind of hold down the fort. I could see them going Elijah Vera Tucker. He can play more guard and probably fits better at guard. But, I mean, if you play Slater at tackle if you play him at guard for right now, he could do it, and then you can kick him out to tackle, and Slater is really good, very athletic. I think, for the time being, you could play him at guard, and then, when you get rid of Solder, if you're not sure about Matt Pert, you get him used to playing in the NFL, getting used to NFL speed. So I'm going to go with Rashawn Slater of Northwestern. Just makes sense, everybody. That's all I ever wanted was for this team to make some level of sense. It sounds like they are doing it. 12 overall, the Eagles. The Eagles had traded down to 12. I've had the Eagles trade down. This was a team I thought would trade down. And they traded down. Not with the Patriots like I did last week. No, they traded down with the Miami Dolphins because the Miami Dolphins felt very affectionate to being in the top 6 for some reason. So the Eagles get themselves another first-round pick next year. This potentially means they will have 2 extra first-round picks next year. 3 first-round picks in 2022 if Carson Wentz plays 70% of snaps, which is very likely. What do they do at 12? I think they would have went J.C. Horn if he was there. He's not there. They would have maybe went Patrick Surtain if he was there. He's not there. Edge rusher, couple of edge rushers in this class. Azeez Ojulari, Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye very much fits what I could imagine they would want in an edge rusher. Very much similar to Derek Barnett, but even souped up Derek Barnett, who's the guy who they drafted in the first round in 2017. and has been okay for them, but not great. So they probably do want to build up the defensive line. It's very much part of their ideology is build through the trenches. They could also look at wide receiver. Devontae Smith is still on the board. Jalen Waddle is on the board. They've gone wide receiver multiple times in the top 2 rounds the past few years. I think that these are 2 game-breaking wide receivers that are on the board. I think some people might be a little worried about Jalen Waddle's injury history. I think some people might be worried about Devontae Smith's size and build and athleticism. And as we get closer, if they do end up testing, that'd be great. If not, for right now, I think it's one of these 2 guys. I'm gonna go with Jalen Waddle. I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith. And the reasoning behind this is Jalen Reagor, they drafted last year. He had injury concerns. I think even coming out of college, he kind of had a little bit of injury. That kind of slowed him down a little bit. Also, Carson Wentz doesn't want to throw crossing routes, which is the perfect route to throw to Jalen Reagor. He's a run-after-catch guy. So Devontae Smith, again, another guy who the one issue I think with Devontae Smith and the thing that Jalen Waddle gives you, I feel like sometimes I double talk myself and I convince myself I wish I took the other pick. Jalen Waddle has that legit speed, but he's coming off the injury, and I think that injury, especially given the last few years, given all the injuries the Eagles have seen, guys coming off of injuries, guys who never recovered from injuries. You have Brooks coming off of an injury. They could also have gone off offensive line here. Because they just probably could do any kind of young player who could fit on their team. But again, I think this was the right spot. Devontae Smith, they get a good player who played really well this year. Kind of slight, but I don't think they worry about that kind of an outlier. His body size, his body type. He was getting free. He was getting open. He was mossing guys. He was contesting catches. I think Devontae Smith will be some level of good to even great in the NFL. I think they like that. I think they go that way at 12. It's probably going to be some kind of offensive weapon. If not, maybe offensive lineman. Because like I said before, trenches, pass rusher. 13 overall, Chargers. I think the Chargers are a team that has some needs at offensive line, but they never address it. They also just lost Melvin Ingram. They addressed a little bit of offensive line in free agency. They signed Corey Linsley, Matt Filer. They lose Forrest Lamp and Dan Feeney, but nobody really cares about Dan Feeney. Sorry, Mr. Feeney. It just doesn't work for you, at least not on the Chargers. Maybe he'll do well with the Giants, who he just signed with. No, Jets. He signed with the Jets. Oh, my God. That's horrible. Dear God, I hope they fix that offensive line soon. Otherwise, it doesn't matter who they draft. Chargers could also go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, pair him up with Derwin James. That'd be a sexy maneuver. Azeez Ojulari would be a good combo. They could go Darisaw from Virginia Tech. They could go Elijah Vera Tucker from USC. I think Darisaw. I don't think they go. They could go edge here. The edge class is not. There's no true number 1 edge in this class. Is what has kind of been the. You have Azeez Ojulari, who's 249 and is solid and a solid athlete, but maybe not. If he had that one extra step of burst, I'd probably say Azeez Ojulari. Kwity Paye, we talked about him before. This might be where he goes to pair him up with Joey Bosa, the Bosa with the bigger Nosa. I don't see Gregory Rousseau going here. Gregory Rousseau just had his pro day today. That was not good, everybody. His pro day was not good. His team, the other Miami guys had solid pro days. He did not. He came in at 266 after never playing at that level. He played at between 245 to 250 in 2019. Did not play this year. Opted out. Comes in, tests. Came in at 266. So you saw that his arms are vines, man. He's got 7 foot wingspan arms. He's got 80 inch wingspan and 34 and a half inch arms. Giant arms. This man is a man. Issue though, we have not seen him play in a year. We have not seen him play at that weight, and when he tested athletically, he did not do great. His vertical was 30 inches, which is not great for a 266-pound defensive end. His broad jump was okay. His 40 time was, I think, 4.78, which wasn't great. And then also he's standing next to Phillips and Quincy Roche, who did much better, ran faster. They were a couple pounds lighter than him, but still, I don't know what happened with Rousseau as far as, like, I mean, if you watch the tape, right? First off, Jalen Phillips is the guy out of Miami who is the most technically sound. I don't think he's going in the first round because of medical issues, but some team might take him. I'm thinking the only team that I can think of, one team that might take him, and I might do it in this draft class. We'll see. But at 13 overall, I think the Los Angeles Chargers go with Jalen Waddle. They are not afraid of injury risk. They have Keenan Allen, who's getting a little bit older. Mike Williams is getting to the end of his deal. Now you get Justin Herbert, a guy who has legit electric speed. I think this actually might be a little bit underrated of a move. Now, they do have a defensive head coach in Staley. Maybe he says, I want another pass rusher to pair with Joey Bosa. But like I said, I think there will be an edge rusher in the second round. At 14 overall, the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, they go ahead, they get rid of Riley Reef. It sounds like they're going to kick out Ezra Cleveland to the left tackle position. They have Brian O'Neill playing right tackle. The interior of the offensive line might be a little yucky. So maybe they go interior offensive line or even tackle here. Darisaw, Elijah Vera-Tucker, even Tevin Jenkins, although Tevin Jenkins mainly played right tackle. I think they go edge rusher, though, because it just doesn't seem their style. Like, they have drafted interior offensive lineman. Bradbury, they drafted a few years ago in the first round. That didn't work out for them. They do consistently spend top 100 picks on offensive linemen. Like I said before, I think it was Pat Elflein used to be there. He got cut eventually. They drafted Ezra Cleveland last year, Brian O'Neill a couple years before that. So I understand what they're doing. I think at 14, I think they might say, you know what, we like the depth of this class. We think Ezra Cleveland could play left tackle. We'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and draft a guard in the second round, and we'll see how it goes from there. At 14 overall, I think they go for one of the best edge rushers in this class, Kwity Paye. To pair up with Danielle Hunter, that really seemed like a Mike Zimmer issue when we were when they got to the end of the year, where he was just upset that they could not get any pass rush going. Anthony Barr was injured, so they couldn't even blitz with him, and if they are in a really bad situation, they can use him as a semi-productive edge rusher. Danielle Hunter was injured this year. You don't even know if they might trade him away because he wants a new contract and a new deal and has been creating a little bit of a headache there. So I think they go with I think they draft Kwity Paye. I think that fits very much in the mold of the defensive ends that they have. At 15 overall, the Detroit Lions are on the board. They could go Micah Parsons, right? I think that would fit very much in the mindset of who they might draft as far as like athletic linebacker, bite your kneecap kind of guy. I dig it. But as much as Dan Campbell likes to bite kneecaps, and as much as a guy like Micah Parsons, who he has some off the field question marks of his own, not the same kinds as everybody else. They were a little bit different, but nothing that really scares you. Maybe some teams might be like, you know what, I don't want that guy in my locker room. So I do think Micah Parsons might go in the first. I do think Micah Parsons go in the first round. Also, opting out kind of affects it. I think they go Barmore here. I think this is the kind of pick, especially in a rebuild. We see this a lot of the times where the D tackles sometimes take a year or two to develop. So I see Christian Barmore being a very good pick for them, a guy who came on at the end of the year, can play 3-tech, can play nose, can actually rush the passer, and yeah, he had a little bit of a hard time sometimes holding up the double teams, but sometimes he was just amazing in some games. He would sometimes play out, and you'd just be like, wow. And he is athletic, and he can move, and he can cross the face of a guard, and he's been – I like Barmore a lot. So we get to 16. We get to the Arizona Cardinals. They spend all their money on old guys that it would have been great having like a few years ago. They get A.J. Green, who's limping in with the cane. They get J.J. Watt, who's limping in with the cane. They already had Chandler Jones, who's limping in with the cane. They're all on canes, everybody. It's how the Cardinals. It's actually called the Arizona Canes, the Cardinal Canes. I think here they could go edge rusher, like I mentioned before, Azeez Ojulari. I don't think they go linebacker here because I think they would have went corner. I think Greg Newsome could be an option here. I don't know what Vance Joseph wants to do on defense anymore. Vance Joseph could definitely use a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He already has an Isaiah Simmons who didn't really pan out last year, and yeah, like he will adapt and he'll get, maybe they could play him more at safety or free safety, and they use a little bit of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah's like quasi linebacker ability. They could definitely go Micah Parsons. Edge rusher is definitely on the board for them. I think they look corner. I don't know if Greg Newsome necessarily fits what they want to do. Caleb Farley does, but he has the injury concern. I think it's a risk it, no biscuit team, though. As long as they think Caleb Farley will be back for this year, and it sounds like he will, I don't think they worry about the long term, right? Keim, he knows this is his last shot. Same with Kingsbury. This is your shot. Shoot it. Get your guy. They go Caleb Farley, very athletic, corner who's also very good in zone. In fact, there's a lot more practice in zone, which is not something you usually see from athletic corners. Usually they're using them like as a man shutdown guy. He's got athleticism for days. He's not going to be testing though, so we might not get confirmation on that. Again, he has a microdiscectomy, which is he's now on his second one. Hopefully it's not for the same disc. If it's for the same, we will see what happens as far as if his stock ends up falling. But I feel like this is the start of where people, teams get a little antsy. Like, all right, let's take this guy. Let's do it. Do it. And they also re-signed Marcus Golden. All right, 17 overall, the Raiders. They trade away a bunch of offensive linemen. I think this is the perfect spot for Tevin Jenkins. I'm going to always pick Tevin Jenkins at 17 if he's still on the board. Because they have Colton Miller who play left tackle. Tevin Jenkins played right tackle. He plays it really well. He's played up against a lot of the guys in this draft class. Ronnie Perkins, Joseph Osai, and held up very well against them. Interior, they have Incognito. They have Denzel Good, who could play both tackle and guard. I think they want to prefer him at guard. They signed Nick Martin. They extended Andre Smith. I think the Raiders here go with Tevin Jenkins. Who will be, out of Oklahoma State. Miami's on the board, right? Miami is on the board. I think they go. All right, so Miami got Jamar Chase early on. They got an extra first-round pick in 2023. They also have an extra third-round pick in this draft. I think it's possible they go edge rusher. I think Micah Parsons very much fits. That's an interesting one. The Miami Dolphins with Micah Parsons, with that athleticism and his ability to blitz and the scheme versatility and I think this is where Micah Parsons, it's either going to, I could see Micah Parsons or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah going here. I could see them going edge rusher. This is the team I could see maybe going Jalen Phillips because they have all the surplus of good picks. I could see them expending a pick to get a Jalen Phillips to say, hey, listen, you know what? We think he's going to be solid. The concussion issues might be an issue, but you're never going to get a guy of that level later in the draft, and even late in the first round, because, again, the concussion issues are what's going to push him down the board. To them, I think they have the quality control insurance of, hey, he might have the concussion issue and the red flags, but on the reverse end, this player who is falling could be a surplus for us. We can get Jalen Phillips, who is going to be the best pass rusher on our team by far, pair him up with Emmanuel Ogbah, and go. I don't think that's here yet. I think that will come maybe in a trade-up with a team. At 18, I think they go Micah Parsons. 19 on the board. Washington football team. They, like I said before, Mac Jones is off the board. Trey Lance is off the board. I think they could go receiver here. Rashad Bateman has played outside in 2019. 2020 played more in the slot. Big dude, athletic dude. I hear a little bit more about him falling to day 2. They could go with the LSU wide receiver, Terrence Marshall, who played on the outside, and he also kind of had a similar journey where he played on the outside, then moved into the slot. Difference was he opted out at the right before the Alabama game, and I think some teams might look at that and be like, why'd you opt out halfway through the season? Granted, LSU was not playing very great this year. I still think it's Rashad Bateman ahead of him because Rashad Bateman came back You had a weird offseason. Maybe he wasn't able to train as much, which is why they ran him out of the slot a lot more, why he didn't look as much athletic this year. So I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman. The other option here is I could see them going Darrisaw. I definitely think Darrisaw is on the board for them. Because, again, like Washington could always use extra offensive linemen because they piss them off and then they demand a trade and they hold out for a year. I don't think that's in this situation, though. I think they go with Rashad Bateman, pair him up with Terry McLaurin, A.J. Humphries, Ryan Fitzmagic, and Curtis Samuel. So Rashad Bateman it is. At 20, man, this board could not have fallen better for the Chicago Bears because they need everything, but I think the thing that they need the most of is offensive linemen and quarterback. They need a lot of quarterback. I think the Bears are the team that will end up trading for Sam Darnold because it's a $5 million contract, especially if they get rid of Anthony Miller. It's probably going to be either the 49ers or not 49ers. It's either going to be Washington or Chicago. Maybe the Steelers, maybe the Saints. I don't know if the Saints really want to do that, though. It's going to be one of these teams in the middle area. Either way, Chicago, they're on the board. I think they take Christian Darrisaw, Virginia Tech, offensive lineman. And then we're going to have a run on offensive linemen right now because here the Colts are. I think they take Liam Eichenberg. Eichenberg sounds like a guy who's a Jewish attorney or an accountant. Eichenberg, and Notre Dame. And, yes, the Notre Dame left tackle, they've addressed left tackle very sparingly since Costanzo retired. They signed Sam Tevi and Julian Davenport, which, if those are your starting tackles at left tackle, man, I feel anemic for you. So we're going to go with Liam Eichenberg. At 22, the Tennessee Titans. Definitely would be probably in the running to take either Jalen Phillips because, again, they don't worry about red flags, and which is what led to the Isaiah Wilson fiasco. Granted, there was really no – I don't know if anybody really heard of anything about Isaiah Wilson before it happened. Efetu Melifonwu, Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome would be an interesting – I think they go Greg Newsome. I think that would be the fit for them. They aren't as worried about, like, the amount of time the guys play. They already have Fulton on the roster. They have Kevin Johnson. Janoris Jenkins is a temporary fit. I could also see the Titans going tackle. I think I even had them last week going tackle. This week I'm not having them go tackle. This week I'm having them go corner because that's, I think, the other position they could address in the draft. Next on the board, the Jets are on the board. Offensive line, definitely an option. I could see them going with... Hang on one sec. I could see them going Samuel Cosmi, athletic tackle, very similar to what they did in the draft last year. Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan, Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, Walker Little maybe a little bit later on as a guy who you really haven't seen a lot of tape of the last 2 years because of injuries and opt-outs. So I think given the Jets' mantra, given what they've done the last 2 years, Elijah Vera Tucker's still on the board. Even if they think Fant is okay or good, even, because here's the thing, Leatherwood, I don't love. Cosmi has some upside to him. I could see Cosmi working, especially because Mekhi Becton worked. I could see them going Samuel Cosmi. So, I think they go Cosmi or Leatherwood or Elijah Vera Tucker here. Elijah Vera Tucker would be a very good fit for this team, give them a really good guard. Sometimes really good guard play helps out better than really good tackle play because then at least you can't get beat up the middle. I could see the value in that. I could also see the value in saying, listen, we have a high second-round pick, and we maybe can get a guard or center in the second round. Makes sense. So with that being said, I think they go Samuel Cosmi, put him at right tackle. We'll see how it goes. Up on the board next are the Steelers at 24. They are also probably going to look offensive line. This is where I think a really good guard falls. They seem to value interior offensive line more than they value tackle. They brought back. They still have Chukuma Okafor, who's not played well at right tackle. They lost Andrew Villanueva. Maybe they bring him back. They did get Tyson Alualu back, who initially was going to go sign with the Jags, and he realized he had his dream house in Pittsburgh, didn't want to sell it, and decided to come back and say, hey, I'll take a cheaper deal to come with Pittsburgh. So that's why I don't see them going interior defensive line. Edge rusher, I could see them going that route. There's a lot of guys who are on the board, but I think with Elijah Vera Tucker, you're getting a guy who, you have DeCastro probably for another year or so. You need to build up. You need to restock that offensive line. It's just been so bad. And I'm saying this as a guy who wants them to not be good. So, yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker to the Steelers to make your offensive line better. You're welcome, Steelers. All right, Jacksonville's on the board. They could take a tackle as well. They could take a guard. They could take a center if you want to. You could leave your brain behind. They could. They tagged Cam Robinson. I think that might be a sign that they want to at least maybe buy some time with the tackle situation. They still have some money to throw around as well. With Jacksonville, defense, Rousseau is there. They could definitely take Rousseau. I don't think they take Rousseau. I don't think they're Rousseau's probably not falling. Rousseau's probably not going in the top 2 rounds anymore. I'm telling you right now, his pro day was horrible. He ran a 7.53 cone, which is not good. For an edge rusher, you want below 7, really, and as close to 7 as you can. His vert was horrible. His broad was okay. His 40 was fine, but nothing blew you away. And since he didn't blow you away with his athleticism, he was beating. If you look at his tape, he was beating up guards and centers. They were playing him over the nose and at guard over the guard in college, and that would be fine if he was playing at 266 in college. He was not. He was playing at 245 and beating up guards and centers. That's not going to work in the NFL, and it's not going to work at 266 either. But at least if you can project that, and you saw it this year, and you saw him playing well at 266, and you could see him at D tackle and 3 tech and kind of develop over the next couple of years, I could buy that pick maybe in the second round. He's going to be a hard sell. I would maybe think about it for some teams, but not here, not at 25. I think the Jags have to go defense, though. I think Trevon Moehrig is a very big option here. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Nothing here prevents them from going edge rusher. They could go Jason Owe. He blew up his pro day at Penn State the other day. He ran a 4.3 40 at 256 pounds. He's going to be a legit monster. Azeez Ojulari is still on the board somehow at this point. I do think that it could go this way. I didn't have Azeez Ojulari fall this far last time. And I think part of it is you see how some teams might have needs that they really need to address. Trevon Moehrig is a safety. He could probably be a good pickup here. I don't think they go Zaven Collins. I don't think Zaven Collins goes in the first round. He's a solid linebacker, but he doesn't really play in a scheme that really fits at the NFL level. And now we got Joseph Osai of the Texas. Do they go edge or do they go safety or do they go corner? I don't think they go corner. I think they hold off on that maybe to the second or third round. I think it's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is so sexy of a pick. They have Caleb Von Chase on. I think they go with Azeez Ojulari. This is going to be crazy, right? They're going to be like, what? Can't believe you gave him an edge rusher. I can't believe you did it. I did it. I gave him an edge rusher. I gave him my edge rusher, everybody. I gave him a guy who I liked. I always try to do that. I try to make myself hurt every time I do a mock draft. It's like it hurts. It's painful. I do it every time anyway. All right. We're coming up to almost an hour. We will be done, I think, in the next 10 minutes because the last six picks are not going to be that hard to do. Browns at 26, right? We have Rousseau on the board. We have Jason Owe. Last time I had them trade down. I can't always have the Browns trade down because, I mean, it's realistic. I do think they try to do it. I think they start calling guys at 33, 34, 35, maybe be like, yo, do you want to, swap out with us? Jalen Phillips could be an option here. They've checked in on him. They've interviewed him. They interviewed Rousseau. So is everybody else because you have to check in those guys. Rousseau because he opted out and then also didn't test well, but also they were checking in on before the opt out, before the not testing well, and then also Jalen Phillips because he had concussion issues and he basically medically retired from football for a little bit, and he was at UCLA, and now he's at Miami, and then he's now in the NFL potentially. I like Jalen Phillips. He is on paper, on film, the best edge rusher in this class. The problem is with concussions, you have the 5-year success rate for an NFL player without a concussion history is 36%. The 5-year success rate for a NFL player with a concussion history is 11%. So you're talking about 1/3 of a shot for this guy to be as good. Now, maybe you're saying your eval is so good, he is a blue chip player, and you say, you know what, I'm going with it, I want him here. I can understand that. If you felt like the rest of the class was just so murky and meh, I'm not going to have the Browns trade down. I know there's going to be a lot of Browns fans who are screaming at me, go for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He could be a rover. He could be a linebacker. He could be a safety. He could be anything you want him to be. He's like a magical mystery box. I think that's a possibility. I actually don't even think he falls to this point. He could. If he's at this point, he's definitely on the board for them. I think Jayson Oweh. I think that Jayson Oweh's athleticism is amazing. And if it was Kwity Paye here, they go Kwity Paye. If it was Azeez Ojulari here, I think they go Azeez Ojulari. But Jayson Oweh, his pressure rate was really good for a guy who didn't get any sacks. He got 0 sacks last year. But also keep in mind, didn't play a full, like a regular college season this year because the Penn State started later. And because there was less games this year, there was less opportunity. He had 7 sacks before this point. I think he's going to be fine in the NFL. I think he has that upside of being a Montez Sweat, a Marcus Davenport, a Rashawn Gary kind of player, where his athleticism and his tools. Ziggy Ansah is another one that you can kind of call back to. Jason Pierre-Paul is another edge rusher who was more of a developmental edge rusher taken in the first round, who also did not have a lot of sacks during his college career. I'm going Jayson Oweh here. I know there's a lot of Browns fans that are going to be all over the place on this, wanting to murder me, but I think this is actually the right pick here. To pair him up with Myles Garrett would make your edge rush group kind of insane, because even if he's just getting pressure and he's not sacking him, don't worry. You know what? We have Myles Garrett. He could sack him. He's really good at that move. He does that a lot, folks. But he's also very good at getting pressure, and he gets double-teamed. And now you have a guy who's going to be scaring people out of the pocket. And again, Jayson Oweh can chase down guys. So I like Oweh. I want him here. I'm now talking myself into the pick. All right, Baltimore's on the board. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's not falling past this point. They could probably go edge rusher, Osai. They lost Matt Judon. I think they go a little bit later on that. It's not a big part of their defense. Safety's a bigger part of their defense that they did not have. I could see them going either Trevon Moehrig or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, guys who can cover on the back end, who make it very hard to throw the ball. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Trevon Moehrig are probably the two guys I look at for the Baltimore Ravens, not pass rusher. Maybe corner in that rare instance, but I just don't see that here. Another spot, maybe, I was thinking of teams that can maybe trade up at certain points, but not here, not right now. Saints are on the board. No quarterbacks that are available. They can go edge rusher. I think this is where a run on edge rushers kind of starts. Wide receiver, Kadarius Toney, Terrence Marshall, Elijah Moore. Running back, tight end, offensive tackle. They do have their right tackle's on his 5th-year option. He's coming to the end of his deal. Corner-wise, corner. What corners are left? Fetu Melifonwu, Asante Samuel, Eric Stokes. So, again, few guys who I think Asante Samuel, father played in the NFL, 5'10", but he's probably out of these guys the most technically refined guy. Fetu Melifonwu, big, long corner, very good for a cover 3 scheme, maybe a little press man, but he doesn't have the problem with Fetu Melifonwu is he doesn't have so for instance, compare him to J.C. Horn, right? Guy who's coming from South Carolina. I know J.C. Horn might get a few penalties in the NFL, but man, he's physical. You can't I don't know if you can teach physical. It's a mentality. Ifeatu Melifonwu was not that physical. He doesn't want to be physical, and that's kind of the worry. He's big and he's got that strength and he does make tackles, but I don't know. I don't see that working necessarily in their favor. Eric Stokes, very big athlete kind of guy. Blew up his pro day, blew up the House of Athlete pro day, ran a 4.2 something or another. Definitely an option there. I could see them going safety. They did franchise tag Marcus Williams. I don't know if they go safety here. Oh, Marcus Williams might be gone after this, or they might trade him. Linebacker, no. Edge, yeah, they lost some guy. I think last time I had them taking D-tackle. There's no D-tackles I'd be taking here. They would be ballsy enough to take Jalen Phillips. I think they might even trade back. In fact, I'm going to do that. Right? Because they don't have a pick. They could definitely use an extra third-round pick, or they could use a pick next year. I think what they do is Miami wants to come up, right? Next, they want to go ahead and trade up with the Saints. Oh, I should probably transition to this so you guys can all see it. Yeah, so you guys could see they're going to trade up with the Saints. And from 36 to get up to 36, they have the 2022 San Francisco pick. Huh. Is that enough? Is that enough to get the Saints to agree to trade with you? Declined. All right, that didn't work. Because there's also other players. I think, I think that's fine. I don't think that. I think the Saints. Oof, it's a hard one. This team. I don't think they go offensive lineman just yet. Maybe they could. Tackle, Leatherwood. Defense, Osai, Trayvon Moore, Ifeatu Melifonwu. You know what? Give him it. Asante Samuel Jr. I think this is a good spot for him to go. Very scheme versatile kind of guy. Not the biggest corner, but they also have Marshawn Lattimore to pair up with him. I think that's a smart move. All right, 29. Green Bay Packers are on the board. Probably pissed that they didn't get a few different dudes. I think, they brought back Kevin King. I don't think they're done shopping for corner yet. They could also be looking at edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, Ronnie Perkins, Carlos Basham. Basham would be an interesting one here. He's 23, so some teams might not be happy with Basham. Basham's got good tape. His pro day's tomorrow, so I don't know what his athleticism is going to come in at. He's played at 283. We did get that number from the Senior Bowl, so that's actually a very usable number. I think that works. I think they go Carlos Basham, maybe try to play him at 3-tech, try to use a little bit of his athleticism and his strength and his bulk to maybe get him to bull rush a little bit more. They like these kind of edge rushers that can kind of play inside and outside. So, yeah, Carlos Basham. The Bills are on the board. I could see the Bills going Jalen Phillips. Osai, I could also see them on defense going on offense going offensive guard. Yeah, at this point, Wyatt Davis is still on the board. Creed Humphrey's still on the board. Landon Dickerson's on the board. Wyatt Davis, book it. Buffalo. They built up they're building up the trenches, right? They got Mitch Morse. He's still there. He took a pay cut to stay. Right tackle, they got Darrell Williams. They extended him. Left tackle, they've got Deion Dawkins. But I think the guard play there has not been the greatest. So I think the trick here, they're going to go guard, but they're going to go Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. 2 more picks, everybody. 2 more picks. And it played out perfectly, but Kansas City. At 31 overall, Kansas City takes Alex Leatherwood of Alabama. Oh, my God, they took an Alabama tackle? This is going to be crazy. I'm shocked they didn't go higher. Well, he's got some question marks to his game. But listen, when you were drafting at 31, he didn't even, last mock draft I did, he didn't make it this far, right? There's different ways for these drafts to kind of go, and that's kind of the point. We're now at pick 32, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could literally take the best player available. Where where, oh where, might the Buccaneers go? Could it be Gregory Rousseau? No, I don't think so. I don't know why I'm making this rhyme now. They can go Trevon Moehrig. I would dig that move. Safety out of TCU. This is also where I could see the proposed trade up from Miami, right? To get up to, let's see. I should have. Here. Tampa Bay. So, yes, 36 going up to 32. 156 and Miami 4th next year. Declined. All right. I don't think Miami wants to spend a lot to move up. But I do think Miami would be interested in trading up. At this point, they're not. I don't think they have to worry too much. But sometimes the good thing about getting to the first round is you get that fifth-year option. Granted, the fifth-year option is a little different now, different palatability. You know what? I just don't think it's going to work. Anybody else who might want to trade up to get up there? I just don't see it. This is one of the other issues with trade downs into the second round. I just don't know if there's going to be a lot of effort to move up in this year's draft. All right. So, with the 32nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select. I don't know why I suddenly became, what's his name there? Sean Connery, who passed away this year. So sad. This year? Last year? Recently. I'm going to go with Joseph Ossai. Leviosa. Pierre Paul's a little bit older now. They did extend Shaq Barrett, but again, if JPP doesn't end up being there long term, or they extended him, but let's be real, JPP is getting a little bit older. He might not be very much long for that roster. He's had injury concerns as well. Joseph Ossai on the Buccaneers would make an interesting pass rush rotation. They literally could go best player available. They could go corner. I could see them going Eric Stokes here, very athletic corner. Trevon Moehrig to go ahead and get, they can let Whitehead walk, and they would still get to have Antoine Winfield, and that combination of Antoine Winfield and Trevon Moehrig might be very palatable for some teams. I don't think Ifeatu Melifonwu fits what they do on defense. Richie Grant, this seems a little high for him. Jalen Phillips, again, this is a team that is like, listen, we're in it to win it right now. This could be one of those 2 or 3 teams I was talking about to go Jalen Phillips. I went Joseph Ossai. I wouldn't be shocked if they go Jalen Phillips in the draft. That would maybe be the one area he can get into the first round unless Miami trades up, which I was trying to do. Did not happen. So that is it, everybody. I think that's the end of at least the mock draft. Thank you for tuning in. You really think that the 49ers aren't going Trey Lance? Ooh, how long ago was that? That was probably about an hour ago. I should check my messages from now on. I should start doing that from now on. Next time I do a live stream, I will make sure to keep that screen up somewhere available for me to see. It's just it's so weird sometimes. You're watching that screen and it's so awkward. So yes, if you want, you can follow the podcast at DraftVice on Twitter, at DraftVice_football on Instagram. You can follow me at BROJO. Death is in the end of life. Punch like a delicious drink you drink in the summer. Overall, fun mock draft. It's now 12:24 at night. I will try to do another one tomorrow. I'll try to do round 2. I'll keep this page up. And until then, sleep well, y'all. Sweep, sweep, home Alabama.
We're on the same
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
about the past and about the future.